Kinwomen ALOUD. I'm Kelley from Kinwomen, and I've got two fabulous guests with me. My friend Rose Parker.
Thanks for calling me fabulous.
But you really are.
Oh, you're a
How's
gem.
that? And my other great friend's Pen Webb. So it's actually beautiful to be here together. And we love to think of this podcast that we're doing is by women for women and by friends for friends.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's really that kind of idea that we just want to do it together, and it's an idea of having you out there in our audience and saying really just listen, make comments, refer this on to other people, because it's really, we really want this to be a living conversation. Right?
Yeah, fantastic.
So I hope you've got your cup of tea around your kitchen table or sitting on your sofa with your feet up on the coffee table. That's my preferred position. I'll just mention I have coffee. The other girls, of course, have a Friday afternoon glass of champagne. Very civilised here at Elemental Studios.
And I have just been told by Kelley to make sure that I behave myself. I've only had a few sips, Kel.
Yeah, well, I can't
It's
even
Friday,
have a few
Pen.
yet.
We've
It's
already established.
Friday.
It's Friday. Boom, boom. It's Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Ding.
We know what happens to Rosie after half a shepherd. Oh, sorry. Are you trying to do an introduction?
I am just trying. Actually, we are kind of doing a little chat first to say what's happening in our lives right now. So it's always.
Golly.
I love to have this little chat and catch up, check in kind of moment. We just see how we're all going in terms of what's happening in our worlds.
Yeah, what's happening? Oh, you want to know what's happening for me?
Yeah, I'm asking the questions.
Okay. I tell you what's happening for me. So my daughter, who lives away in Melbourne, the other side of Australia, which can I say is not just a ride up the road, is a long way away. So 3.5 hour flight one way, 4 hour flight back, because you don't get the tailwind. But she is studying to be a registered nurse now and doing her placements. And I just think, I just love still being a part of what's important to her, and she kind of calls me at the end of a day, oh, Mum, this happened, and everything else.
She's in a placement right now?
She's in a placements right now, in hospital placements. She's done a clinical, ER, and she's done radiology, and she's just loving it. And sometimes I get off the phone and I go, I'm so surprised that she's still alive without me, and her cat's still alive
Without you.
without me. And she's done this now for 3 years. But I tell you what, when she comes home, it's like both of us go into this whole, we reverse 5-10 years into she's the child, I'm the mother. Like, we have to work on it. She kind of lounges around on the couch. I go, so what are we doing today? What tasks have you got? What are you going to achieve? Yeah.
It is a weird kind of dynamic when your children grow up and they leave home and then they come back, because you're well aware that they're completely able to operate themselves. But somehow, I don't know if it happened with you, Rosie, when Zach came home to live for that period of time. Did you go back into more of the mother mode?
Absolutely not.
Oh, good for you.
Well, he was already a man. He came back to complete
Man with a partner
He
too.
was. I got the deal. I'm going back to uni to finish the degree. I was really happy about that. But I'd like to, can I move home? And I said no. And my husband, who's not his dad, went, babe, we have to say yes. I'm like, do we? Really? We just moved into our new home. Okay, so we're saying yes. Okay. And everyone who knows me knows I adore my son. But I was like, is this a good choice? Anyway, back he comes to finish the degree, and also said, oh, and by the way, Mum, I'm a package deal these days. I said, what does that mean? Veronica's coming too. Okay, so 4 adults in the house, then COVID hit, and it was no, they were here just before COVID. And 1 year turned into 3, but because my beautiful adult son moved home with his partner, it was very important that I didn't step into previous mothering role. And you know what? It was easy because my boy had been out of home for a couple of years, fully independent. When he was 15, I remember going, I want him to know how to make his bed, clean a toilet and cook a meal. So they were 3 good boxes to tick. And now it's reverse mentoring. If he was here, he'd be laughing, saying, yeah, Mum, what about all the things I've taught you? And one that's most invaluable is when he walked into my office one day and surveyed my office and went, Mum, it's time to get rid of the manila folders. And he introduced me to Zero. My bookkeeping
So
process
good.
of zero. All I require is a phone and a camera, receipts. I have a bookkeeper. It gets uploaded to the magical cloud and comes back to me. It's wonderful.
Gorgeous.
Well, you're good at it then. I am not great at it.
But your boys are a bit younger than
Not really.
I think it's more me because I think
There's an insight, the process of reflection, Kel.
Yes,
How's that
thank
going
you,
for you
thank
today?
A little bit of counselling. But my boys, when they come home, I know that they're capable. I mean, they've lived in Germany on their own, lived in the UK, you know. I mean, they're
For
very
significant
capable.
periods of time.
Yeah, I mean, like gone for a year, you know. So then they come home and I'm in my room and they go out and I'm like, when are they home? I'm looking out the window, bit worried it's 11 o'clock. And I have to restrain myself because I really want to message them. What time are you home?
Oh, no.
I don't. But I actually.
There should be an alarm now that goes off on your phone if you want to do that.
It's a bit stressful because then the other one is if they go to get up for work and then I don't think they're up early enough and I haven't heard the shower and I'm lying in bed, they really should be up. You know, this is not acceptable. You really should be up, having some breakfast, getting it, and I'm like, and again, and every now and again I've gone past Hamish's room, I've knocked on the door, and I hear from the door,
I'm
what,
awake.
Mum? So all you mothers out there who are struggling that,
It's called helicopter parenting.
Rose is better at that. You know, you've kind of got that one.
No,
nailed a bit more than me.
I remember you speaking once and talking about realising you've got to go from walking on the bridge with over the bridges with your young adults to letting them walk the bridge themselves and you're down below just sort of cheering them on, you know, and I love that. And Paul Kelley, one of our amazing Australian singer-songwriters, in his book, How to Make Gravy, he's got a list of 10 things he wants to do really well in his life and you would think would all be to do with achievement and da-da-da-da. But my favourite that jumped off the page at me was teach your children to leave you really well.
Yes.
And that, it makes me teary to say it because what you're doing is you're facilitating their independence.
Yes.
And how valuable is that? And so if we keep stepping in.
No, we can't.
Yeah, having said that, there are some ways that you can have a voice in there every now and again. So my son and his gorgeous girl lived with me for a year to get their deposit together for their first home. Beautiful. There was a pocket of window every morning.
Pocket of window.
A window, a pocket, a
Little
window,
window.
a pocket, a window of opportunity most mornings before work.
Yes.
Out the back, on the veranda with our cups of tea or coffee, and I was usually having my breakfast. And he was up early too because he's working Eastern States time. And he would sit down, always bring his coffee and come and join me. And I say, how are things going, kind of thing, and da-da-da. And then he would like just say a few things and then he'd say, what do you reckon, Mum? And then you have a little voice.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
You're being asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're only being asked by your adult child because you have a relationship with them that you've built for years.
Yeah.
And that is the difference.
And you are a coach role, which is what that
you're being asked.
You're a
It's
friend.
a difference.
You're complete. And I think that's what I loved about the book that you referenced. It's called He'll Be Okay. It's a fabulous book written by a New Zealander, a woman who is a single mum, but he'll be okay, turning gorgeous boys into good men.
Yeah, fantastic.
Is that Cecilia?
Yeah, it is. Celia Lashley. And I just encourage people. But I think that's been a great conversation because I think that we all want to get better at that because we want independent, flourishing young men and
responsible
women.
young men.
I have to confess though that sometimes I did overstep the mark and go, so should you be doing? And he'd go, Mum, I got it.
Good for them. Good for them.
I got it, Mum.
Not required.
I got it. Time out.
Well, we're timing out too here. We're timing out on our chat. So we'll see you guys a little bit later on. In a minute, I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to invite into the conversation Anne Galambosi because Anne's a clinical psychologist and the beautiful opportunity to talk about the topic of narcissism. So thanks, Pen, for being part of us, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Well, we're going to have a chat. I've got my great two friends here. I've got Anne Galambosi, clinical psychologist, and actually, Anne, I wrote a few thoughts about you here because we said clinical psychologist, mum, grandma, and says hubby Steve handles her watching telly in the middle of the night quite well. Her heart is to help people live their lives with greater freedom. And it's true, isn't it? All the things that hold people back.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it.
How do we live it? So it'd be great to have you. Got Rose Parker, who's our singer, songwriter,
Hello.
OT, artist, just I think, deep care about people, wanting to get better at life.
Yep,
all
constantly.
the things that we share, you know, and we've known each other for 40 plus years. So these are the kind of friendships that we can talk about, some tough conversations. And in a way, I think narcissism is a tough topic because it's so kind of current, and it just feels like it's got a lot of power behind it right now. And we want to talk about that really kind of respectfully and kind of open it up. And as you say, in your ambition and to let people live with greater freedom. So here's some thoughts I started with. Narcissism seems to be the word on every person's lips. Ever noticed how everyone's talking about narcissism these days, from social media influencers flaunting their insights, reality TV stars basking in the spotlight, to everyday mums diagnosing partners, boyfriends and children? It's become a hot topic. But what's driving this kind of almost obsession, maybe it's our selfie-loving culture or the constant chase for likes and followers, or perhaps we're just more aware of personality traits that were once brushed off. But whatever the reason, narcissism has found its way into everyday conversation, memes, and even our dating lives. It's fascinating and a bit ironic that in trying to spot narcissists, we might be reflecting our own self-focused tendencies. So are we all a little bit narcissistic these days? This is the question we'll kind of explore today.
Yeah.
So maybe, Rose, we kind of had some thoughts there about where does it come from, because it's definitely prevalent in culture. As a conversation, yeah?
Well, yeah, and it's, I just think, you know, these last years, the whole focus has so come onto this individual, the me culture, I call it. Social media has driven it, accelerated into the stratosphere, all the different platforms. Everyone's an expert, aren't they? Everyone's an expert in everything. And their focus isn't so much on themselves, but on everybody else and what they should be doing to make them feel good, which I think is part of the definition of narcissism, isn't it? This complete lack of empathy and understanding of other people, and just someone wanting to be right and very judging of other people. But for me, it's the thing of everyone making themselves such an expert and throwing this word around. Whereas from what I've read, there's actually some really important things about narcissism when we're talking about a well-developed individual and the ego. But Anne's going to speak about that because she's far more of an expert than me. But I just think the focus on the self and the self with separation from community.
Yeah, I think it's become, and I think also it's the public nature of those social platforms now.
Yeah.
So not only do we have an expert appearance, but also you can present something with a lot of inference that you are an expert, because as soon as you have a platform, it kind of gives you a perception.
Without accountability.
Yeah. It's a thing. So what about you, Anne? Where do you reckon it's come from? Because you're seeing it, I'm sure, in clinical ways, both formally and informally.
Well, I think it's a great observation, and, you know, psychologists, we're not actually experts even when we have all our training, really, because we're just making observations. And it's really interesting that people are calling people narcissists in social media. It's like, gosh, when I have someone in, it's like it takes a lot to decide whether someone's got a personality disorder or not.
And isn't that the difference? There's narcissism as a trait, and then there's narcissistic personality disorder. And to me, they've become mushed together in this, I'm an expert, or you've done something wrong, you're a narcissist.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But why are people looking to put the label on?
Yeah, because they're
just looking to disqualify someone, really.
And haven't we got good at that?
Yeah.
Cancel culture and everything. But, man, it's modelled from, we're not just talking weekend warriors and disgruntled partners on social media. We're seeing it everywhere, to the very upper echelons of power. Like, for me to watch the kind of behaviours that are being modelled and the kind of conversation that's become normalised, it's just
it has.
horrible.
Is there a real lack of, is there a real doubling down which causes this, like a lack of curiosity that makes you then have to make other different have a problem? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we just don't have curious conversations, and to disqualify someone as a narcissist when we're just talking about a part of that person.
Yes.
Because we can all be narcissistic.
Yeah.
We can all go to that place when we've been hurt enough, and it can be appearing from other places that we're narcissistic, whereas we've maybe just got really fed up and have started to assert ourselves, you know. But it's not the whole person when we're talking about things. So I think that's what I'm saying. Like when I'm working with someone, it's like how much grandiosity, you know, how much self-importance, you know.
So
before
tell me
I make it.
Tell me how would you define it? Because if we're and Rose is saying that whole narcissistic traits versus a personality disorder.
Yeah,
So
let's
how
unpack
would you
that.
define narcissism?
Yep. So if we talk about traits, it's a very different thing than talking about a personality disorder. So there's 9 criteria of a personality disorder with which you have to meet 5 of those before you get a diagnosis.
As your consistent behavioural pattern?
Or is there a
exactly.
threshold?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Like
you have to demonstrate it over time.
And in all your relationships. Just you mentioned before, some people are calling people narcissists because they've had a disruption in their relationship and someone's behaving perhaps not very well. And let's face it, when we're breaking up, we're not at our best. You know, we've got painful things going on. So to point your finger at someone who's now behaving perhaps differently towards you because you're in a painful journey together is perhaps a self-serving and, as you said, not curious, but I'd say more like a blaming and not taking responsibility for your part in the breakup and pointing to the other person. But understanding that people, when they're hurt, may also, not be operating at their or maybe more focused on their own feelings. But I'm just trying to differentiate between someone seeming to be operating in a narcissistic way, as in not thinking about your feelings, compared to someone who is a character who operates like that with everyone all the time.
Yeah. And you can see in their work, in their love life, everything is disruptive, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you the actual...
The list.
The list.
Let's do the list. I love a list. Love a good list.
Grandiose sense of self-importance, preoccupation with fantasies of limited success, power, brilliance, beauty or ideal love, belief in being special and unique and only understood by other people that are special and unique.
Oh, my goodness.
Requiring excessive admiration, sense of entitlement, exploiting others, lack of empathy, often envious of others or believes that others are envious of them, arrogant, haughty, and having quite an arrogant attitude. So you've got to have 5 of those. But how much of those?
Yes, that's what I think. What's the threshold?
Right. It's really tricky for even me to sit with someone and actually make that diagnosis. I guess I think of narcissism more on a continuum.
Yes.
So we're talking from healthy narcissism to that kind of clinical.
That sounds so funny. Healthy narcissism, clinical. Tell me about it.
Yeah, exactly. So we all want to have a healthy amount of narcissism, right? Yeah. So we want to have confidence. We want to have belief in ourselves. We want approval from other people. But we can also be interested in other people. So it's not just self-serving kind of interest. And then we might move just a little bit to the left where we get very defensive. Like when you're healthy, you can accept a bit of criticism, but maybe you start to get defensive. Maybe I see this in emerging, because it's usually about the early 20s we get diagnosed, if there's a diagnosis of narcissism. Emerging fantasies of being rich and powerful or popular or, better looking, all of those things. So a lot of fantasy happening. And then, that defensiveness is really kicking in at that point. And it's very hard for people kind of just emerging out of that healthy narcissism to see it themselves when people point it out. Then you kind of go to the subclinical where you're kind of thinking more very self-focused, very much not interested in other people's minds, meaning their thoughts, their feelings, not really interested at all.
And that's on this continuum
Correct.
heading towards the middle. So that may be present, which is a trait, but it's not the disorder.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good one, because I think that would be one of the key ones that people think straight away elevates someone, would describe into the end of that continuum.
Yeah. So kind of thinking about it as like a healthy wheel has a normal amount of air in it and it rolls along really well.
Yes.
But if it's overinflated,
Yes.
then it's going to be wobbly.
Yes.
But there's another kind of narcissism that is not talked about in the DSM, which is, the criteria that we measure narcissistic personality disorder with, and that is covert narcissism. And that's where it's very much like the person is like, I wish I was rich. If only I was pretty. If only this was, and then I'd be worthy. And so they're quite deflated in their ego.
Are they? Is that real?
Oh, 100%. We look at, you just look at her Instagram post. Oh, gosh, look at that mother. Look at the lunches she gets. Oh, I wish I was a better mother.
Oh, my goodness. I don't
So we
see that
all
so
have
much.
that little bit. But when that gets really exaggerated, that you have no sense of self and all your self-esteem has to come from outside of you, then you get the deflated tyre. And
Yes.
that doesn't roll well either.
That fragile self-esteem needing
Yeah.
Is that
massive
still?
external validation.
Would that still be a type of narcissism? Because it's
100%.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Because you're so needy, you're so getting everything from other people that you. What does that make? You still want the attention on you in a way, isn't it?
100%, yeah.
You still want the attention on you.
And you'd be envious of other people as
Yes,
well,
of
instead of being
course.
able to celebrate who, you know. You can also feel great. I can, as a therapist, already feeling great empathy for the person that's trapped in that little. It's a very sad, dark place to be. So, so to anyone listening, if you're identifying with any of this, there is so much support available too, and
100%.
some of this definitely needs to be dealt with a professional counsellor, psychologist such as yourself, and. So, reaching out and asking for that support and
for
rocking
sure.
up to your doctor as the start point is a hard conversation, but a really good conversation to have.
And I have as much empathy for people with overt narcissism as well, because
course.
they're trapped in that way of being as well. So, yeah.
So when do you reckon? What do you think? Kind of, we talked about the sort of being healthy, that sense of ego and confidence and humility, right?
Yeah.
But why do you think people that tipping point is? Like, what would you see it in people?
The tipping point for
Well, what would you see as the
becoming-
obvious thing that you would say that when you go that personality disorder, where would it go from being healthy to actually being something that's damaging?
it's when you actually collapse inside if you don't get the attention.
Oh,
Like you can just
That's a
see
good
people
thing to
collapsing
unpack.
internally.
yeah.
When they don't get it. And that's mostly when I would see someone with overt narcissism, is when they just collapse because they were the powerhouse in their company or whatever, and somehow it just all went to muck, and then they're just like,
Then there's
I don't
nothing
even,
left.
yeah, and their whole sense of self is like they don't know who they are anymore. And then, what do you do? Or they're in relationships where it's just not working out. So finally they land in a therapist's room to just kind of go like, what's going on? But they wouldn't generally go, oh, I think I've got a problem and I need to go and talk about it. Whereas the covert definitely would.
They'd present as I've got a problem with the other people
Yeah.
would present it what? I'm
When
don't
there's
know why
an
I'm
ex-
not coping.
When
when there's
there's
a failure,
yeah.
a big external failure.
perfect,
And we live in
yeah.
a society
Yeah,
where,
exactly.
if you're the head of the company and it's succeeding, or you're a phenomenal sports star kicking goals, if you're succeeding, we love you.
Yes.
And then if that stops overnight due to financial failure or relationship breakup or something that person would view as being external to them,
Yeah.
the feelings that it will bring up for them, and it's our society too, isn't it? As a culture, we have such emphasis on success and monetary success.
If they have healthy narcissism,
Yeah.
when that happens, they cope.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just go, oh, okay. That was
Okay.
that season, and
So
they
then
have
you
a
lose
morning
the big
time.
job,
and
you lose the big job,
Yeah.
or you lose the relationship, and I think I remember one thing I think you said it earlier, when people don't agree with them. If a significant
Yes.
relationship,
Yeah.
people don't agree with them.
Yes.
But if that person does just say, I don't want anything to do with you, I don't agree, the narcissist would collapse.
Yep.
The person with a
Inside.
inside,
Yep.
and they're not actually able to function.
That's right. It's very distressing for them.
But that must just
Yeah.
be horrendous.
Yeah,
To get to that point where you think
Yeah.
everything's so good and you're in such a high position, and then almost overnight to feel
Exactly.
Like you've
Because all
lost-
the self-esteem comes from external. It's not from internal. It's not there. when there's no person there.
Success,
Yeah.
which is why I found it interesting reading about a healthy and helpful narcissism. It wasn't really a topic I delved into until I was researching this and went, oh, so narcissism, of course, does exist for some good reasons. And the idea of it assisting us to be really motivated and confident, it cultivates ambition, persistence. You've got to believe in yourself to stick at something, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of my journey as a musician, as a songwriter. And
Rose, maybe in your area you've had to have it, haven't you?
The journey of every songwriter and musician I know, man, you have got to have such internal self-belief. And
because you may never get
external.
It's not like even I'll go if I've got to believe in myself to finish this degree. See, someone like a musician or an artist,
there's no guarantee.
There is no guarantee that at the end of this journey, that if you were looking for that external, it may never come.
And it's such a crazy combination because you have to allow both to exist all the time, and I speak about this with young musicians often. If you're lucky, everyone will get some moments in the sun, all right, if you're talking the external validation, but you can't do it for that reason. You have to be so internally motivated as any creative, and you have to be creating your art essentially, first off, for yourself and for self-expression and for connection to other people. So then the other side of that is, as an artist who's producing work to express self and create connection, you're hoping that somewhere along the journey someone's going to turn around and go, I like that, and reach out and connect back with you.
Yes.
And then it creates a loop and you evolve as an artist, you know.
But you can't, Rose, you can't collapse internally if you don't get that, can you?
And yet you'll have moments of doing that, but then you have to allow that to serve you by going, and I bring it back to craft development, become a better singer, become a better songwriter, become a better musician, become a better communicator, a better music director, a better leader of bands, better at the, social media. We have to do everything now. It's crazy. So it's a balance. It's the wheel, like you were saying. And musicians can go, I think Jeff says this in his book, Jeff in the Zebra Collective.
Oh, yes.
Jeff, who's that beautiful psychologist who runs a creative school in Sydney.
Yes.
He says musicians, you'll see them go, one moment they're like, this is the most brilliant song ever written in the entire universe. Oh, my gosh, I'm phenomenal. And then 10 minutes later, you'd be like, oh, I'm useless. I should just quit now. And you can experience that 20 times in a day, you know. So ride it. Take the ride. You've got to ride it. And I say you've just got to stay in love with why you do what you do. So for me, I love the physical act of singing. The beauty of singing is exquisite to me. And what happens when I write a song and how that feels, that is my fuel. Then if I'm really lucky, I get to put that in front of an audience. Yeah, right. And I've been in front of audiences that are like, oh, love, could you play some Akadaka? And I've been in front of audiences of 2,000 people that are like, oh, my gosh, you're incredible. So, yeah, you've got to roll with all of that.
It's such a vulnerable role, isn't it?
Oh, it's like being naked and opening up your chest cavity.
You're so brave.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it is.
And crazy.
Would you say that certain professions or certain stages of life, or when would you say you start to be able to see fractures?
You just said the word stage.
Yeah.
No stage, no, what are we? You know, whether it's in a dinner conversation, am I holding the stage of the dinner conversation? You know, like that's a key word, stage.
Oh, is that right?
Oh,
well done.
Unpack that more.
Well, you know, if you're on stage, people are listening to you and you have the floor. And, you know, the old joke is, you know, the guy that's a narcissist and says, oh, my gosh, so sorry, I've been talking about myself all night. Would you like to say something about me?
Oh, you know those dinner parties where someone's just hogging the whole conversation?
Yeah.
What are we allowed to say to them? I dream of going, excuse me, can I just say, you are talking non-stop. Can you just be quiet and let someone else talk? Says the singer who gets to be on stage. But I just want to say something about that. People think, I've had people say to me, you just love it up there, don't you?
Oh.
As if you're just lapping up all this attention. I'm like, you have no idea. It took me 20 years to get over paralysing stage fright.
Oh.
I still get so nervous before I go on stage and perform, and I so much prefer being in my lounge room with my guitar. that's why I really love having a band and other people. Like doing it with people made me so much braver. But even for me to do a show on my own just with a guitar, I'm swallowing just thinking about it. Hands are tingling.
That is healthy
mouth.
narcissism.
Oh, okay, good.
That you are wanting to share your gift, even though it costs you.
Oh, so you're going to make me cry. Stop.
It costs you your bravery, all your hours, everything. You're not just keeping it to yourself. That's an act of non-narcissism right there.
It's
just like, I'm going to share that with you.
It's
I'm going to
the
give that to you.
generosity.
Yeah.
When would you see we talk about this idea, maybe just a couple of thoughts from you. When would you see the narcissism and the health, when does it serve you? Like when could you actually say, you know what, embrace it in some respects from Rose, you know, it's your talent. And when would you say it could hurt you? Just the narcissistic traits, not the disorder, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when it's serving you well, relationships are going well, work's going well, you are able to take knocks and bounce back. You said that, you know, like a guy that just loses everything, what does he do? Well, when healthy narcissism kicks back in, it's like, okay, I know how to rebuild it better. What have I learnt? And you said the same thing when you have that knockdown as a musician, it doesn't get received the way you thought it was in your head. It's like, okay, interesting, good information. I'm curious. Like, how can I learn from this? So that's
when
healthy.
you know it's in a healthy, and then
it's unhealthy, you just again collapse. You get defensive, and
Angry.
you think any feedback from someone is criticism or a personal attack.
Yeah.
Instead of just feedback.
Yeah.
You know, it's
and
very
can you
hard.
get skills to actually help you? Because you may not have an extreme, but is there skills that really in speaking to someone you can develop if that's your frailties? Well, they are our frailties, right? But if that's really impeding your life.
Yeah, if you want to.
Oh.
You've got to want to do something different. It's a really ingrained thing, and we can talk more about that, about, you know, how it comes about in childhood another time. But really, it's quite a hard thing to break when it's really ingrained. But if you really want to and you are open to learning, and sometimes you have to be, especially in the overt, you have to be completely broken to be in that place, to want to learn, you start to go, I have a separate mind to you. And that is the key to moving forward. So, for example, Rose, if I asked you to just close your eyes for a moment, and then I'm just going to wave at you, and now open your eyes. And now could you just wave back at me in the way I waved at you? You had to take your best guess. I could have gone like this. I could have gone like this. So narcissists believe that you are connected to their neural pathways. So it only took a split second for my hand to do what my brain wanted it to do. But the narcissist is like, you need to think exactly the way I think.
Mirror me. Yeah.
100%. And so they don't realise that you have a separate mind and a different way of doing things and a different way of thinking. So that would be the first thing I would teach them.
Nothing about challenging what yours is. You've just got to disconnect from other people.
You've got to realise they are separate people. And think about the book, Let Them Be. You know, that would be the first skill, is to just really like go, people have separate minds to you.
And don't take that as something of an impact on you. I reckon this is going to be great. Look, I'm going to get a chance to speak to Anne a little bit more in the next session, and we're going to get a chance to really kind of dig a little bit into this. So I'm really encouraging people, come back for session 2, because I think that's where we can get to, you know, how do we actually help ourselves? How do we actually recognise in relationships when it's not going to work out? Yeah. We're not labelling anyone.
Sure.
We're just saying these traits become unhealthy.
Sure.
Because the thing that I'm walking away with, Anne, is this idea that narcissism is a continuum. At one end is a personality disorder, but however, there's all these traits all the way along, and we all exhibit them to different extents and at different times of life.
So
right?
true.
I mean, that's what and it should be understood. So next week we're going to concentrate on talking about parenting and relationships. Great. And how do we raise children that are healthy,
with healthy,
resilient. We're a part of that. We're a part of that, people. And so we want to stay on the healthy side of this continuum when it comes to this narcissistic behaviour.
Beautiful.
Hey, what a good conversation. This conversation does matter. Glad you joined us. Glad you joined
Thanks
us
for
at
having
home.
me.
So we've got Rose Parker, Anne Galambosi. Fantastic meeting with you guys today.
Thanks.
See you next time.
So join us for more conversations. Follow us on our podcast and socials. I'd like to thank Mark Ralph, studio engineer from Elemental Sounds, Natalie Kellner, producer from Mindful Marketing. Until next time, you are our kin.